What's up everybody, Super Dorks fan here for another car review. This is of course the 2013 Fiat 500 Abarth. Huge thanks to John for hooking me up with this awesome Abarth to review for you guys today. So about the Abarth, well, I just think these things are really cool. They just have this bursting personality, and I don't know, it's just the way it looks is really cool, especially this black one, you know, with the red accents. I mean, it has red mirrors and the stripe, and I just think it looks really cool. And this one looked kind of mean, you know, he added the eyelids there in the front, and he also put some eyelids there on the rear taillights, and I just think it's a really cool little car. I've always thought these were awesome, and I'm very excited to be able to review his today. Also, please excuse how dirty and cluttered the car is. John was in the middle of a road trip, actually, and was kind enough to stop in Pittsburgh for a few hours in order to film this review. Right, so for the interior of the Fiat 500 Abarth, it's really nice. So, you know, it's typical Italian flair. That's one thing I love about the Fiats. They're just really cool, especially the interior designs you can get. So this one has the red leather seats that are very nice, and you have the red leather on the door panels, and you know, all the accents. I mean, even, you know, the buttons on the dashboard and things like that look really high quality and classy, and I think it's really cool. So anyway, first things first, sitting in this car, you know, the door has a good solid thunk. They're pretty big doors. They're tall, but they're a little bit on the short side. It's a very interesting, everything about this car is different, which is one of the reasons why I like it. It's different than all the other hatches, and it's different than basically any car out there. It's very unique. So you sit down in the car, and these seats are actually pretty good. So the thigh bolstering is awesome. It's like just perfect in my opinion. But the torso bolster leaves a little bit of wiggle room there. It's more than I would like personally, but it's not bad. And of course you can get some of the you know, special edition Fiat 500 Abarths that actually have, you know, tighter seats. But these ones, you know, they could stand to be a little bit tighter, but they're not too bad. And they're actually very comfortable, and I like them a lot. Next is the steering wheel in this car, which is probably the best part about the interior of this car, in my opinion. It's just the perfect thickness. It's super beefy, these huge 10 and 2 notches, flat bottom, and obviously the red stitching. It's just a glorious wheel. I really love it, and it feels great in your hands. Next is the gauges in this car, which is also, again, unique and different and so cool looking to me. So you have the speedometer as the outer ring, and then the inner ring is the tachometer, which is very cool, and then you have your you know, coolant temperature and the fuel there in the middle, and it's awesome. And then you have this little boost gauge. It's not actually little, it's a big boost gauge you have right off to the left hand side there with a shift light, and that is also cool. Everything, I don't know, they just really did these cars right. I like them a lot. And then coming along to the center of the dashboard here, you know, this is where things are a little bit cheaper. It's the same as the standard Fiat 500, but it's still, you know, nice interior. So I mean, you have the black gloss finish around the stereo and the climate controls, which is very nice. It's a piano black finish, very high-end looking actually. And then you have the radio controls, which it's your standard old school kind of radio with, you know, the two-color display. It's orange and black, and you know, volume knob is non-existent. You just have buttons, which is another different thing, but it gets the job done, and of course that's something you could easily upgrade if you so desired. Climate controls in this car is actually kind of similar to a lot of the BMWs and stuff like that, where, you know, it has, again, the orange displays, and it's very clear, easy to read, large buttons, and this one has heated seats even, and it's pretty nice. It's very straightforward and easy to use. Another thing that's different, though, is that the gear shifter is like up with the rest of the center console. It's very high up, and it's, again, just so unique. That's another thing. The whole driving position of this car is very unique. Another thing is storage space in this car, which is interesting and different. So, you know, you have little map pockets in the doors, no bottle holder there, but that's okay because you have plenty of places. This is the only car I've ever seen where there's more cup holders than there are seats. So this car has 3 cup holders in the front, plus a little extra cubby here, and then you have 2 cup holders there behind the e-brake in the back, and so 5 cup holders in a 4-seater car. And again, just, it's really cool. And yeah, while we're talking about seats, the back seats that normally are in this car, the owner of this one has removed them, and which obviously, I mean, gives you a little bit lighter weight and is unnecessary. He has more storage space back there because of it, and so that's very cool. But so I can't comment on the back seat space in the Fiats, but you know, being that it's a smaller car, I'm assuming it wouldn't be extremely roomy, but it's cool nonetheless that you know, he just took them out. I think that's pretty cool. Another thing is storage space, just as far as in general, even if you would have had the rear seats there, there's enough that, you can fit a suitcase and, things like that. Again, it's not huge. It's kind of like the Fiesta STs and stuff like that, where not super roomy, but it's a small car as to be expected. And even with the rear seats in place, you could fold those down so you have more room. But of course, you could just take them out, like I said, and then you have lots of room. So problem solved. For the amount of space that you have in here, it does a really good job of maximizing your space. And that's the last thing I will say about this interior, is it's cozy feeling. It's not cramped at all. I have lots of headroom still, and it's roomy enough. But it's cozy and small, and feels like a small car should. All right, so let's start off and go for a drive. The Abarths have a key. It's very similar to what you see in a Volkswagen car, where it's a switchblade and pops out. It's very cool. Has the Abarth logo, so you just turn the key and it starts right up. So, first thing is, this car has some mods on it. Now, they're not heavy mods, but it'll be interesting to see how they improve the car. So, first thing is, it has an MPX exhaust. Which gives it a great sound. These already sound fantastic stock, so I'm very excited to hear this exhaust whenever we're driving. It also has a Unichip stage 1 as well to give it more power. So this one's actually doing roughly a little over 200 horsepower, and I think he said around 220 to 240 pounds-feet of torque as well. So it's a good amount over the stock numbers, which are 160 horsepower and 170 pounds-feet of torque from the factory. So big improvement there. So it'll be interesting to see how that performs as well. It also has a Eurocompulsion V2 intake as well, so that should give us some nice turbo sounds and things like that. So yeah, let's just go for a drive and see how it does. Alright, so setting off in the Fiat 500 Abarth here, it's so unique. It's different than any other car I've ever driven. So the first thing you'll notice when you're driving these is the way the clutch pedal is mounted. You're like pushing down on the clutch pedal. I swear, if you drive one of these, it's different than anything else you'll ever drive in your life. It's just different. It's not necessarily bad, it's just something you have to get used to. So another thing is the gear shifter's really close to you. I mean, it's really close. It's kind of cool, actually, because, I mean, you don't have to reach for it at all. The throws are a little bit on the longer side as well, but that's obviously easily fixed if that's something you don't like. And otherwise, the visibility is really good, I mean, the windshield is nice and large. You have large side windows, large rear window. Otherwise, just cruising along in this park road here. It's very nice. It's smooth. It's comfortable. You do feel like you're sitting up higher in this car than a lot of the other hot hatches as well. That's one thing. But I mean, as you can see, even this being the Abarth version with its sport tune suspension on these bumps and stuff, it's really not bad. I mean, over harsh bumps, it's a little bit stiff. Another thing is, being that this car is turbocharged, and this one especially that it's tuned, it takes very little to get that wastegate flutter and that exhaust to open up. It's just, you hear that whoosh, the whistle sound. It's so cool. So anyway, the owner of this car has advised me to start my acceleration in second gear, because that's where there's the most pull, because first gear is so short. So we have the sport mode on. So sport mode will give you aggressive throttle response and things like that, and so that helps with all that. So we got it in sport mode. And so also this car has a hill holder clutch as well, so it helps you with your hill starts. So let's turn onto this back road here and see how it does. So I'm in first, like I said, I'll go into second here, and let's go. So it's fun. This power, it's funny, it's like all the other turbos where you have to wait for it to spool up a little bit, and then once it spools up, it pulls. It's fun, and that sound is just hilariously awesome. It's so out there, it's so crazy, but it sounds so cool. But another thing is, you'll notice whenever I first did that acceleration, I went from second to fifth. The gearing in this car is it's just something I have to learn. Normally, with other cars, it's a little more precise. This one, I think you have to have a little bit more of a learning curve, before you can really nail the gears really well. Anyway, we're on these back roads here now, and it sounds so good. I'm sorry. It's just like the overriding thing is just how good these sound. I'm actually quite jealous. One thing is the steering is actually pretty nice and sharp. It has a little bit of vagueness in the very beginning as you start to turn it. Then once you turn it, it gets really precise. And I actually really like the steering. This time I'm going to try first gear just a little bit.
All right.
Oh, I like it. Went back into fifth that time though again. It's third gear. I don't know why. I'm having a little trouble finding it, but it's fun though. I love this thing. Another thing about the Abarth is, regardless of what tires it has, I test drove one briefly a while ago, and that one and this one, it likes to light up the tires in first gear. It has plenty of torque, and especially this one being tuned. Yeah, this is definitely, oh man, I'm sure this tune is what's making it feel so torquey. It just pulls really hard, and it has so much drama and theater and character that is lacking from some of the other hot hatches, like the Volkswagen GTI and cars like that. They're good cars, they're quick, they're refined and all that kind of stuff, but none of them give you the kind of laughs that this does. It's just, everything about it is just, it's a whole big experience. It's so much fun, and it's just putting this big smile on my face that I don't always get. But anyway, I'm going to drive this car for a little while longer here, and I'll come back and give you some updated impressions. So I've been driving this car for a while now, and this is the kind of car that you never get bored with. It's never a boring car to drive. It's always just, I mean, you can play this engine like a musical instrument with just all the different noises between the wastegate flutter and the turbo whine, and then you have the awesome exhaust with its crumbly, crackly sound. It's just, this car is just so dramatic and so theatrical, and I know I've said that before, but this is like definitely the best car in that regard in this segment. I mean, no, it doesn't handle as sharp as a Volkswagen GTI or Fiesta ST. It doesn't, you know, it's not even the fastest in its segment either. And I mean, for the money, you could get a Honda Civic Si, which has, you know, a more refined interior, but you don't get the Italian flair. You don't have any of that kind of stuff. So I mean, I wouldn't say that it's, you know, if you're looking at the numbers of it all, is it the fastest choice? No. Is it the best handling choice? No. But while we're talking about handling, there's a tight corner here, and just to show you the body roll or lack thereof, it's really flat. This is super bumpy, and it's just like super flat, and it just handles it no problem. It's really good actually, you know, because these are a little bit of a taller car, but it's actually really good. I would say this is even better than the Fiesta ST as far as the body roll. That car had a little bit of body roll, and that's something that definitely needed fixed. This car doesn't feel like you even need to fix it. It's not perfect, but it's not bad at all. Once you really get in and really start turning it hard, it bites in and it really turns. You know, everything, you know, like for example, I got used to the gearbox since I've been driving, and now I can go into third no problem, and the gears are just very widely spaced in this car, and that's something I'm not used to. The brakes in this car, there's a little bit of dead travel there. They're not the most precise, but they feel great. They stop the car really well. Whenever you're in sport mode, the throttle response is great. It's immediate. As soon as you dip into the throttle, it's right there with you know, some acceleration for you. So that part is great as well. And you know, just driving it around, it's actually a really comfortable car. It's, you know, small, and it's really cool. You're kind of like, you're driving around in this personal pod. It's like, it's really cool. But I mean, I just love all these sounds. It's just, it's like the blow off and everything. It's it's just so cool. I don't know. It's just, this car just reeks with coolness and attitude. It just sounds like it's mean. This car just, it just keeps putting a huge grin on my face. And that's what I think a car should be. It shouldn't be about the numbers. It shouldn't be about the absolute max G that it can pull in a corner. It's about the fun factor. I'm driving around like a maniac getting 31 miles to the gallon because it's a tiny 1.4 liter engine, you know? So I mean, it's so economical, and like like I said, they're low 20s, you know, these start out at, and this one, you know, with all the options on it and stuff is a little bit higher, but you can get some really good deals on these since they're not super hot sellers anymore. Oh man, and the modification that he's done to this is really just improves it in every way. I mean, the power was good on these stock, but with this, now you're not wanting for any more power. It has plenty of power. It has all the great sounds, and it's just one of the best values out there, I think. It's great. So yeah, huge thanks to John once again for allowing me to review his Abarth. This one, he actually has a YouTube channel. He posts videos every once in a while of the exhaust and things like that. So definitely check it out. The link's in the description if you're interested in seeing more of this car. And like I said, you know, this might not be the sharpest or, you know, anything like that. It's not the fastest, but it's the most fun, I think. You know, now that I've driven most of the hot hatches out there, I would say this one by far has personality in spades. It's got the excitement, and I just don't think you could ever get bored of this car. It's so fun, and it's so funny with all the sounds and everything. It's just, I mean, look, all that. I mean, that lift off of the gas gave me crackles in the exhaust, a blow off, and the wastegate flutter. It's just like you have all these sounds going on, and it's you can tell I'm clearly having a ton of fun in this car. It's that should speak for itself right there. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep on having some fun here, but thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I'll see you next time. Take care.